My ex stole my college fund to propose to his mistress. 2 years later, she showed up crying because he ran off with her sister. But I handed her the prenup I wrote, and that's when everything changed. Is this the prenup? She asked, her voice cracking. Why do you have this? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her hands shake as she flipped through the document I'd just handed her. Her mascara was smudged, her face blotchy and pale. Amanda. The girl my ex cheated on me with. The girl he left me for. And now, the girl who was left just like I was. Except I didn't cry when it happened. Not right away. I burned. Quiet, focused, furious. 2 years ago, I was weeks away from starting college, pre-law, the dream I'd busted my tail for. I had a fund saved since I was 14, working summers, tutoring, sacrificing every spare minute so I wouldn't graduate in debt like my mom. It was locked tight in a joint account with my then-boyfriend, Julian. I thought it was safe. I thought we were safe. That illusion shattered the day I logged in to pay my deposit and saw the balance, $83.76. The rest? Gone. Julian's explanation came with a choked laugh and a ring box. I wanted to do something big for Amanda. Something unforgettable. He used my college fund to rent a yacht, fly her to Capri, and propose with a custom-cut emerald ring. Because apparently, she deserved something better than a cafe booth and a budget plan. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the box back in his face. I just stared at it. At the life that had been mine, now part of someone else's fairy tale. And then I walked away. The next month, I started waitressing doubles to pay my own way. I enrolled part-time at a state school, took pre-law courses online, and spent my nights studying and plotting. Because if there's one thing I know how to do, it's play the long game. And I was going to law school with or without anyone's damn approval. And Julian? I didn't hear from him again. Until today. Amanda showed up at my door, a mess of tears and high heels, clutching a soggy designer purse like a lifeline. I knew why she was here before she even opened her mouth. I'd heard the whispers, how Julian had vanished with her sister, Deirdre. Took the savings, the car, even the honeymoon fund. Ran off like a second-rate soap villain. Please, Amanda begged. You wrote this, didn't you? I found your name on the last page. I looked down at the prenup again. Every clause, every signature line. I remembered it all. Of course I wrote it. 2 years ago, Julian came back. Not to apologize, he never did that. He just wanted a quick favor with no hard feelings. Amanda wanted to get married, but her father wouldn't sign off without legal protection. He wanted someone neutral to draft the contract. Julian said he remembered how good I was with words. So I gave them a prenup. One so ironclad that if Julian ever cheated or transferred funds out of their joint account without consent, Amanda kept everything. House, car, savings, jewelry. She didn't even know. She just signed it because I said it was standard. And now here she was, holding the weapon I gave her. Why would you help me? She asked softly. I tilted my head, because I knew he'd do it again. And this time, I wanted someone to win. She blinked at me, stunned silent. And I was left with the same question echoing in my own head. Now that she's back, what do I do with her? Amanda sat on my couch like someone who'd never seen a living room before. She kept glancing around like the walls were going to close in on her. She was still in her heels, teetering awkwardly like she was too proud to kick them off. I didn't offer her tea. I didn't pat her shoulder. I just sat in the chair across from her, watching her try to process the wreckage. This says, if he transferred money without my written consent, I get the condo, she whispered, her fingers trembling against the paper. And the Lexus. And his crypto wallet. I nodded. He was real into Dogecoin back then. She laughed, dry and bitter. It turned into a hiccup. He told me you never trusted him with money. Said you were controlling. I snorted. No, I just read bank statements. And I noticed when the math didn't math. Amanda set the prenup in her lap and looked at me like I was a stranger. Which made sense, because when I met her 2 years ago at the engagement dinner she invited me to out of some twisted sense of pity, I was a stranger. A punchline. The bitter ex. I'd shown up with a polite smile and a black dress and a champagne flute I never drank from. I remember the way she'd introduced me, Julian's first love. Isn't that sweet? Sweet. Like arsenic in a cupcake. And now here she was, begging for help. I don't know what to do, she said. He took my laptop, my card, everything. My sister won't answer my calls. My dad's threatening to sue. But I signed that prenup. I didn't even read it. You should, I said. It's the best thing I ever wrote. Her mouth twisted like she wanted to say thank you but couldn't figure out how to shape the words. I didn't need her gratitude. I didn't write it for her. I wrote it for me. A small, ugly part of me wanted to kick her out. Let her spiral. She didn't care when it was my life in pieces. She clinked her glass and posed for engagement photos while I scrambled to cancel student loan applications and wipe my face before work. She had her turn. But another part, maybe the one that still remembered what it felt like to wake up and realize the person you loved never actually loved you, knew this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. I need a lawyer, she said suddenly, voice sharp with panic. Can you help me? I hesitated. Because helping her meant reliving all of it. Going back to the betrayal, the phone calls, the fake smiles. It meant seeing Julian's name on paperwork again. And honestly, it meant choosing who I was now. The girl who got left behind, or the woman who saw it coming and set the trap. Maybe, I said. But only if you tell me the truth first. Amanda blinked. Truth about what? I leaned in. Did you know he was still sleeping with me while he was planning your proposal? She froze. The question hung in the air, heavy and poisonous. Because I already knew the answer. I just wanted to hear her say it. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Just a slow intake of breath that sounded like guilt. He said you two were over, Amanda finally whispered. He told me it had been months. That it was done. Funny, I said, voice low. He was still coming over for dinner 2 weeks before your little fireworks on the beach moment. She swallowed hard, her eyes searching mine for, what? Forgiveness? Confirmation? Denial? I gave her none of it. I didn't know, she said, barely audible. I swear. He made it sound like you were obsessed. That you were still texting him, trying to get him back. That made me laugh. A short, ugly sound. He showed you my texts, didn't he? She nodded, ashamed. I stood up and walked to the kitchen, needing space from the heat rising in my chest. I poured water into a glass and tried not to slam it down on the counter. They were old, I said over my shoulder. The messages. From months earlier. I'd stopped texting him cold the day I saw the empty account. Amanda stayed silent. I turned around and leaned against the counter. Let me guess. He played the victim. Said I was controlling. That he felt trapped. That you were different. Tears spilled over her cheeks, silent and fast. She didn't deny it. Of course not. Because Julian was a master at curating his own heartbreak. Always the poor, misunderstood guy who tried so hard while wrecking every bridge behind him. He said he wanted to marry someone who didn't make him feel small, she murmured. That's why he proposed so fast. He made it sound romantic. No, I said. He made it sound convenient. You had a good credit score and a trust fund. That's all it ever was. I could feel her unraveling, the realization setting in. That she wasn't the exception, just the next chapter in a very old script. You wrote this prenup, she said, like she still couldn't believe it. You really saw this coming? I sat back down across from her. I didn't know it would be you. But I knew it would be someone. Julian doesn't stay loyal. He stays entertained. Amanda wiped her face with her sleeve. What now? That was the question, wasn't it? Because I had the upper hand. The legal paperwork. The leverage. And part of me wanted to walk away, close the door, and let her figure it out alone. But the truth? I saw too much of myself in her. The girl sitting in ashes, wondering how it all went so wrong. "You want out?" I asked. She nodded, shaky and desperate. "Then we make him pay," I said. Her eyes locked with mine. "Together." I smirked. "Let's see how he likes being the one left behind." Amanda moved in that same night. She didn't ask. I didn't exactly offer. It just happened. She stood in the doorway with her suitcase, a glossy white thing that looked wildly out of place next to my scuffed hardwood floors, and I didn't shut the door in her face. That was all the invitation she needed. I cleared the futon in my office, gave her a blanket, watched her cry herself to sleep from the hallway like some reluctant, emotional hostage. And I told myself this was temporary. Just until we got her lawyer lined up. Just until we filed. But things got messy fast. For starters, Julian found out. Not about the prenup, yet. Just that Amanda had left him. That she was crashing with someone. That her family was threatening to freeze the rest of her trust. He started blowing up her phone, then mine. Dozens of calls. Half a dozen blocked numbers. A 3 a.m. voicemail that started with, "You don't have to do this," and ended with, "I always knew you were still obsessed with me." Classic Julian. Make it about him, even when the world's on fire. The next morning, Amanda brought me coffee, awkwardly, like she wasn't sure if that was allowed, and said, "He's scared." I raised an eyebrow. "Good." She nodded, then slid the phone across the table. "Listen to this." It was a recording. A voicemail from Julian's sister, Elise. Of all people. "Amanda, hey. Look, I don't want to get in the middle, but Julian's been talking about leaving the country. Something about Costa Rica and crypto and how he can start fresh. I don't know what's going on, but if he runs, you won't get anything. Just thought you should know." Amanda's hands were trembling again, but this time she looked angry. "That condo? It's in my name. His name's not even on the deed. He used my money to renovate it, then moved in like it was some kind of reward." "And the car?" I asked. She nodded. "Registered to him. But I have the receipt. I bought it. I can prove it." I smiled. A slow, steady smile that felt like vindication. "Then it's time," I said. "We get a lawyer. We freeze everything. And we find him." Amanda looked up at me, wide-eyed. "Do you really think he'll run?" I didn't answer right away. Because deep down, I knew he would. It's what cowards like Julian do. The lawyer we found was a bulldog in pearls named Rena Patel. Amanda sat frozen through most of the consultation, clutching the prenup like it might disappear. But Rena? She read it twice, once slowly, then again with a grin that could cut steel. "You wrote this?" she asked, eyes flicking up at me. I nodded. She whistled. "You sure you're not already barred? Because this is ironclad. If this man tries to dispute it, he'll be laughed out of court and then bankrupted for sport." Amanda exhaled so hard she sagged into the chair like a puppet cut from its strings. That was the moment she realized she wasn't powerless. Not anymore. We filed the next morning. Asset freeze. Emergency injunction on the condo. Car repossession process underway. All of it moved faster than I expected, and for once, time was on our side. Because Julian had no clue how fast the world can shift under your feet when you've spent your life building lies. By Friday, the Lexus was gone. Towed right out of the parking garage of his new, shared space apartment downtown. A neighbor filmed it and posted it to Instagram. Amanda watched the video 3 times, face blank. "I loved that car," she murmured. "I thought it made me feel grown up." "No," I said. "You made you feel grown up. That car just had heated seats." She smiled. Small, but real. Then came the text. Blocked number. No name. Just a photo. Julian, standing on a beach somewhere, sunglasses on, drink in hand. And the message, "You're too late. I'm already gone." Amanda threw her phone. It bounced off the couch and hit the floor. I didn't move to pick it up. Where do you think he is? She asked after a long beat. Doesn't matter, I said. He left a digital trail. Rena will find him. But the truth? I was starting to worry. He was a runner. That was clear now. But this wasn't just about closure for Amanda anymore. This was about accountability. And for me? About proving I wasn't the fool he made me out to be. Amanda turned to me, eyes searching. Do you think he ever loved either of us? I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't know. Because maybe, to Julian, love was just another tool. Something to wield. Something to trade in when the shine wore off. But what I did know, he was finally losing. And we were just getting started. The first real blow landed the following Monday. Rena called at 8:12 a.m., chipper as a sunrise alarm. We've got a location, she said. Your ex is in Tulum, staying at some influencer resort. The kind with plunge pools and no phone etiquette. Amanda blinked at me from across the kitchen table, clutching her coffee. He's in Tulum? I pulled my laptop over, typing fast. There he was again on someone else's feed. Shirtless, sun-drunk, arms around a woman with identical cheekbones to Amanda's. Deirdre, Amanda said flatly. My sister. It was like watching a scab get ripped off a still-healing wound. She walked out of the room and didn't come back for a full 20 minutes. When she did, her mascara was perfect, her jaw set. Something had shifted. Send me everything you find, she said. Pictures. Names. Locations. I want to know what they're eating, where they're staying, what they're pretending to be. I nodded. Because revenge looks good on someone who finally remembers their worth. That afternoon, Rena filed for emergency discovery. We wanted access to Julian's crypto wallets, his international transactions. By the time his lawyer, some LA name-dropper with a man bun, responded, the judge had already ruled full compliance or contempt. Meanwhile, Amanda made a decision that surprised even me. She called her dad. I listened from the hallway, pretending not to eavesdrop, but hearing every word. The silence on his end must have stretched for ages, because Amanda finally said, I know you didn't want to pick sides. But if you stay quiet now, you're not neutral, you're complicit. I swear I heard something crack in her voice, but she didn't let it break. And then? Her dad wired her $20,000. Retainer, she said simply, when I raised an eyebrow. Retaliation, I said. And we both laughed, the kind of laugh that leaves ashes in your throat. The week ended with Julian's new reality coming into full view. His accounts? Locked. His condo? Reclaimed. His name? Rapidly becoming mud in every group chat that used to envy him. And just as Amanda and I were starting to feel the smallest flicker of control, a letter arrived. Hand-delivered. No return address. Inside was a single sentence scrawled in crooked handwriting. You think this is over? Amanda's hands shook as she read it. She looked at me, panic rising. Do you think he sent this? I stared at the words. Something about the slant. The way the letters didn't connect quite right. And then I realized. This wasn't Julian's writing. It was Deirdre's. I don't want to be afraid of her, Amanda said, pacing in my kitchen, her socked feet making soft thuds on the tile. She was my sister. My maid of honor. We shared a room growing up. She once pushed a guy at a party for grabbing my wrist too hard. How did we get here? She was unraveling. But not like before. This time, it wasn't grief, it was fury wrapped in confusion. A quiet, brittle desperation. She followed him, I said. She watched what he did to me, then to you, and still went anyway. You don't owe her understanding. Amanda stopped pacing. Her shoulders dropped. Then what do I owe her? I walked to the drawer by the fridge, pulled out a manila folder, one I'd been filling quietly, methodically, since the first day she moved in. Inside, transaction receipts, security footage, stills from the condo garage, screenshots from social media, and the final piece, hotel booking logs. Julian and Deirdre had checked in under fake names. They weren't hiding from us. They were hiding from the law. I handed it to her. You owe her this. Amanda flipped through the papers, slow at first, then faster, her breath hitching on each new page. She reached the end and looked up at me, a strange calm settling over her face. "You've been saving all this?" "I told you. I wrote the prenup," I said. "Did you really think I wouldn't see this through?" She nodded, once. "Let's go nuclear." The phrase sent a ripple through me. Not because I was afraid, no, we were past that. But because I suddenly realized this was it. The moment. The crossroad. Amanda could walk away now with most of her assets. The prenup was holding strong. Julian had burned every bridge, legally and personally. Deirdre would likely fade into his wake. A lesson, not a life sentence. Or, we could finish this. Ruin him. Not just freeze his accounts, but expose him. Publicly. The business deals, the affair, the international tax evasion he hinted at over cocktails 2 years ago, thinking I wasn't really listening. I knew people. A few contacts at finance firms, one particularly ruthless journalist who owed me a favor. If Amanda was serious, we could end the game with an explosion, not a whisper. She looked down at the folder again. "Do you think I'm being petty?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I said, "Do you think I was, when I drafted a prenup for the woman who stole the man who stole my future?" Amanda looked at me. Then she laughed. Not a bitter laugh. Not a broken one. A real one. "No," she said. "I think you were brilliant." We were past tears now. Past revenge fantasies. This was war, and we had the high ground. By Wednesday, the exposé hit. I didn't write it, but I fed the journalist every thread to pull. And once he started pulling, the whole sweater unraveled. The article was titled, "Crypto King or Con Man? Julian West's Lavish Life and the Women Who Paid for It." It was brutal. Not in a slanderous way. Every word was backed with documents, screenshots, names, dates. It walked readers through the timeline. How Julian used romantic relationships to access funds, hide transfers, and leverage trust. He wasn't just a cheating fiancé. He was a textbook manipulator. A financial parasite dressed in designer loafers. Deirdre was mentioned. Briefly. Not as a victim, just another enabler. A woman who helped him create shell accounts. Who withdrew cash from Amanda's trust using fake wire authorizations. And the best part? The article went viral. LinkedIn, Reddit, Twitter, even TikTok. Amanda and I watched it blow up from the couch, a blanket draped over us, our phones buzzing nonstop. "He's going to freak," she whispered. "He already is," I replied, holding up my screen. Julian's new number had tried calling 6 times in an hour. Then came the inevitable fallout. 2 investors pulled out of Julian's latest startup. One of his old business partners released a statement publicly denouncing him. Amanda's father had a lawyer freeze the remaining trust funds tied to her name. Anything Deirdre touched was now under audit. And the cherry on top? Julian sent an email. Subject line, "You win." Just those 2 words. No signature. No threats. Nothing. Amanda read it twice. Then she deleted it. No reply. No response. Just silence. We sat there in the quiet, the TV screen glowing with muted clips of Julian walking out of a building, reporters swarming him. Amanda leaned her head on my shoulder. "Do you think this makes me a terrible person?" she asked. "No," I said. "I think it makes you free." She didn't say anything after that. We just watched the flames from a fire we didn't start, but damn sure finished. 2 weeks later, she was gone. Amanda left before sunrise with 2 suitcases and a boarding pass to Edinburgh. "I need a clean slate," she'd said the night before, her voice steady, the edge of hope creeping back in. Not revenge. Not closure. Just silence. I didn't argue. She hugged me at the doorway. Longer than I expected. Then she pulled back, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You saved me." And I smiled, just a little, and said, "No. I just gave you the match. You were the one who lit the fire." She laughed through her tears, then slipped into the Uber, and that was it. Gone. Life didn't return to normal. Not exactly. But it settled. I went back to work. Finished my degree. Sent out law school applications with a personal statement that didn't mention Julian by name, but was built on every lesson he ever taught me the hard way. Then one morning, about 6 months after she left, a package arrived. No return address. No note. Just a manila envelope. Inside was a photo. Amanda in a windswept coat, standing in front of a small bookstore in Edinburgh, grinning like she finally recognized herself in the mirror. And tucked behind the photo? A check. Not huge, but more than symbolic. 20 grand. Enough to cover my last semester and a chunk of law school. In the memo line, she'd scrawled one word. Forward. I sat on the floor, holding that check like it was a letter from the future. A future I'd almost let one man steal from me. Almost. But not quite. And somewhere I imagined Julian in some dim hotel, scrolling through headlines, wondering how it all slipped through his fingers. He'd never see it coming. Because the best revenge? Isn't loud. It's living a life he'll never be invited back into. And when I finally dropped that check into the bank slot, I didn't feel angry or sad or even triumphant. I just felt free. Hey everyone, it's been a little while since I told you about Julian, Amanda, the prenup, and how everything went full nuclear. I wasn't planning on coming back here, but a few things have happened since then, and honestly, they're too wild not to share. First, the fallout from the article hit harder than I expected. Julian tried to sue the journalist. That lasted all of 3 weeks before the court tossed it. The real kicker? During discovery for the lawsuit, more of his shady offshore accounts came to light. So now he's not just dealing with civil suits from former investors, he's under federal investigation for fraud. I heard through the grapevine that his passport's been flagged. Karma, meet customs. As for Deirdre, she went dark for a while after the article blew up. But 2 months ago, I got an anonymous email. No body text, just an attachment. A scanned letter Amanda had written her. A goodbye. It was short. Just one paragraph. I loved you once like a sister should. But you let a man ruin that. I won't hate you forever, but I won't ever come back. No signature. Just that. I don't know how I feel about Deirdre getting that letter. But I do know it wasn't meant to be cruel. It was Amanda's way of closing the door without slamming it. That's more grace than I would have shown. Amanda? She's thriving. We still talk every now and then, quick check-ins, random postcards. She works at that bookstore now. Teaches a small business law course once a week. Started dating someone new, though she's hilariously cryptic about it. He owns 2 cats, hates crypto bros, and doesn't flinch when I bring up prenups, she wrote last month. I'd say she's healing in her own way. Me? I got into law school. Full ride. I start this fall. The essay that sealed the deal? It was about justice and what it looks like when women take back power one signature at a time. So yeah, Julian took my college fund. But I took back everything else. And I'm just getting started.